We've all been there, right? You're at the grocery store, you get to the checkout, and the total just feels wrong, higher than you expected. Well, today, we're going to unpack exactly why that happens. We're talking about inflation, but not with a bunch of complicated charts. We're going to do it through the story of one family, their budget, and the food on their table. Let's get into it. And it all starts with this one simple question. So, picture Mrs. Edevel. She's just gotten back from her weekly trip to the market, but her shopping bags, they're just not as full as they usually are. Her young daughter, Tolu, notices it immediately and asks that question you see on the screen. It's just this moment of pure, honest confusion that really nails that feeling when things just aren't adding up anymore. You know, the answer to Tolu's question is actually just one word: inflation. Now, there's the official definition, but what it really means for Mrs. Ade is that the exact same amount of money she took to the market this week bought her less than it did last week. Inflation is that invisible hand making her shopping bags lighter. So that feeling at the market, it doesn't just stop at the front door. It follows them inside and it sparks a really serious family conversation. They have to face this new reality, this feeling that their salary is somehow shrinking. I mean, you can just imagine the scene. Mr. Adi's sitting at the kitchen table, he's got the calculator out, he's looking over the budget. His salary hasn't changed, the number on the paycheck is the same, but then he looks at the receipts from the market, and the math just isn't working. It's that sinking feeling, when you realize your hard-earned money just doesn't go as far as it used to. And this, of course, leads to some really tough calls. I mean, what do you cut back on? For the awaiting family, it's the little things first. The soft drinks, the snacks for Tolu, those are the first to go. The whole focus shifts to just the essentials. And any big plans or non-essential purchases, yeah, those are put on hold for who knows how long. These are the real everyday decisions that families are forced to make. And this brings us to a really important idea: purchasing power. See, Mr. Ade's salary itself didn't get smaller, but the power of that money, what it can actually buy, has gone way down. Every single dollar or naira or whatever currency you use is just a little bit weaker when you get to the checkout counter. So the natural next question is, why? Why is this happening? It's like, where did the money's value even go? So let's pull back the curtain and look at the chain of events that leads to these higher prices in the first place. It's almost never just one single thing. It's a whole chain reaction. It might start with something that seems really far away, like, say, floods damaging rice farms. That's step one. Well, that leads to step two, a food shortage. At the same time, maybe the national currency gets weaker, which makes buying food from other countries more expensive. And by the time all those things combine, you get to step four, and the result is right there at your local market: higher prices for families like the Ayales. So if you boil all that down, you're really looking at two main drivers. The first one is what economists call supply shocks. That's a fancy term for something like a flood, a drought, anything that suddenly messes with the supply of stuff. And the second one is currency depreciation, which just means your country's money is worth less compared to others, so imported goods cost more. But here's the best part of the story. It isn't about the Ade family just being victims of all these big economic forces. No way. The most fascinating part is how they decide to fight back. Let's look at the incredible solutions they build, right from their own home. Mrs. Ade doesn't just sit back and accept these higher prices. She gets proactive. She finds and joins a local food cooperative. And this is just a brilliant, brilliant move, where people in the community decide to pool their resources to tackle the problem together. And the logic behind it is just so simple and so powerful. On the one hand, you have the old way. Mrs. Ade goes to the market alone. She pays the full retail price for everything. But on the other hand, as part of this co-op, they can buy in bulk, sometimes directly from the farmers. They're combining their buying power, and that means a lower cost for every single family involved. It's a total game changer. And get this, the great ideas don't just come from the grown-ups. Tolu, the little girl who kicked this whole thing off with her question, she comes up with an idea of her own. Hey, why don't we start a small garden in the backyard? It just goes to show, awesome innovation can come from anyone, at any age. And just look at all the benefits that come from that one little idea. Suddenly, they're not so dependent on the market's crazy prices. They've got a steady source of fresh, healthy vegetables right outside their door. And it's a smart, effective way to supplement what they can afford to buy. It's this little act of independence that makes a huge difference. And that really is the core message here. Inflation isn't just some abstract number you hear about on the news. It's real. It's about the shrinking power of the money in your pocket. But, and this is the important part, understanding how it works, just like the Aday family did, is the absolute first step you can take to get some control back and start making smarter choices for your own household. So, that leaves us with a final question, one for you to really think about. The Addays found their solutions in a food co-op and a backyard garden. What about you? What small, creative innovation could make a real difference for your family's budget? Because if the Adday family story shows us anything, it's that sometimes the most powerful solutions are the ones we create ourselves.